If you want to manage your money like the 1%, then this is the video for you. I'm going to be revealing the 75-10-15 rule, a system that allows you to build wealth regardless of the amount of money that you earn. Whether that's $25,000 per year or $250,000 per year. It's such an easy system for you to apply into your life. No matter how much you earn, you're always going to be following these 3 steps. The first one being the 75%. So for every dollar or pound you earn, 75% or 75 pence of that is going towards buying things. So that's things like your housing, your bills, your holidays, your food, the odd treat here and there. And the great thing about it being 75% of your income is that it encourages you to look for cheaper alternatives. So for example, rather than shopping at Marks and Spencer's, you shop at Aldi. Rather than going out for loads of lavish meals, you learn to cook gourmet food at home. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be removing all luxuries from your life. There are certain things that may be incredibly important to you and bring you joy, and there's no reason why you should get rid of those. For example, going out and spending money on cups of coffee. They can be incredibly expensive and the cost of them can add up really quickly if you're buying 1 or 2 per day. But if for you, purchasing your morning cup of coffee is the thing that gets you going for the day and you find real joy in it, there's no reason why you should stop. As long as that thing that you are spending your money on is worthwhile to you, then there's nothing wrong with that. If you are able to look for those cheaper alternatives and bring down that section to, let's say, 65%, you've got an extra 10% to play with there, which I'll go into in a bit more detail later. Now let's move on to your 10%. So for this, 10% of your income should be put into your rainy day fund. And this is your fund for when everything turns upside down. Only 43% of Americans have saved an emergency fund that covers $1,000. Your rainy day fund is there to give you peace of mind should something bad or unexpected happen in your life. A great example of when I was put in this situation was a few years ago. I was unexpectedly made redundant from my job. I had a lot of commitments at the time. I owned my own apartment, I had a cat, and I had several outgoings that I was committed to spending on a monthly basis. Had I been in a position where I didn't have my rainy day fund, I would have been incredibly stressed, or more stressed than someone that you would naturally expect being made redundant. I had my rainy day fund there, and I knew that regardless of what happened, although it was going to be stressful, I was going to be fine financially. A question you may be asking yourself, how much do I need in my rainy day fund? The easiest way to do this is to simply open up a spreadsheet, write down all of your monthly outgoings and total them up. So that's your rent, your bills, your food, your travel, and let's say they come to $2,000 per month. The general recommendation is that you should have between 3 to 6 months of those monthly outgoings saved away in your rainy day fund. So in this case, between $6,000 to $12,000. To keep the math simple here, I'm going to go with 5 months and you need to save $10,000. I wouldn't recommend simply just putting that money in a standard bank account. Instead, I would be looking for high yield savings account options that will make my money work for me. So for example, in the UK, I would probably look to put it in an ISA that is giving me a good return on my investment. Another thing that can be quite hard to identify is knowing when you should stop saving. It can be very easy to just continue that repetition of a saving for your rainy day account month in, month out, even if you get to your goal and you haven't spent any of the money yet. But once you do hit your goal, stop, tuck it away, leave it in its high interest savings account, and then funnel that money into something else, such as starting to put it towards your 15%. Okay, so you've nailed your 75%, tried to get it down to the 65. You've then sorted out that 10%, saving up your rainy day. So what do you now do with the remaining 15 to 25%? Any extra funds that you have left over should be being funneled into this step. When we are younger and at school, we are conditioned and taught that we should be focusing on learning our education, going to college or university, getting a well-paid job, working our way up the ladder and paying into a pension along the way. And yes, that may very well be the route for some people, but it is not the route that you should be choosing if you want to build true wealth. And real wealth is built from having assets. When you look at the most wealthiest people in the world, the likes of Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Warren Buffett, they haven't made their wealth from earning salaries. They have made it from owning assets. This way of thinking and way of approaching my financial welfare has really come from educating myself, and that has been from reading a lot, as well as also making some mistakes and learning on the way too. It's one of those things that once you've learned it, it's with you for life and you can't unlearn it. It's a truly valuable life skill to have. There are so many options that you have when it comes to investing your hard-earned cash, depending on the country that you live in as well. For example, in the UK, there typically are two very good things that you can choose to invest your money into. The first one being an ISA, which allows you to invest money with a tax-free allowance. Secondly, if you're also employed in the UK, generally your employer will offer pension match schemes. So you can pay a certain percentage out of your salary into your pension every single month, and your employer will match up to a certain percentage as well. It's essentially free money. And then, for example, if you're in the US, you have a similar option to an ISA, which is an IRA, or in terms of pension, your 401k. So they have the 75, 15, 10 rule in a nutshell. But I also wanted to share some tips on how you can make sure that this is a success. Because from first-hand experience, I know how overwhelming and stressful it can be when you're starting out. One of the key things that really helped me in terms of getting going and getting into a routine with it was automating the process. So setting up all of the transfers that needed to happen every single month. So it worked like clockwork and I didn't even have to think about it. Secondly, if you do have any debts, prioritize paying these off first, in particular your high interest debts. So anything like credit cards. I also think it's super beneficial for on a regular basis, quarterly, at least twice a year, for you to be reviewing your outgoings and your payments. Review where your money is going and how much of it. You might want to adjust it based on the current situation that you're in. Be consistent too. It's not something that will bring you fruitful rewards overnight. It's a long-term gain, and you need to be consistently investing and keeping to the plan in order to see the longer-term benefits that will compound into something great. And then finally, celebrate your milestones. When you've saved your rainy day fund, celebrate the fact that you've achieved something that you've set out to do, and reward yourself. Within reason, of course, but make sure you take the moment to appreciate what you've achieved. These small little recognitions will really help you stay motivated on your journey. Thanks so much for watching this video. Good luck on your journey to managing your money like the 1%, and let me know how you get on in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one.